Well, thank you for joining me today on the Deschutes Current podcast. I'm here with Lisa. Would you like to tell us your role in the community and what you do for a living?
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name is Lisa Sanko. I am the executive director of Worthy Garden Club, and I'm also heavily involved with Pollinator Pathway Bend. I've been on the board since we became a 501c3 a couple years ago, and then prior to that, when we were just kind of a small community-led movement.
And how long has the Pollinator Pathway been around?
2020, a woman named Basie started it kind of on her own, and then she moved to Southern California a couple of years later. And so we had a steering committee and decided to officially become a 501c3. And I believe we got our status late 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. We, hard to get that grant money without 501c3.
And then Worthy Garden Club is also a 501c3?
Yes, and that was started back in 2015.
Okay.
So it's been around a little bit longer, but we're small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think keeps it homey.
Yeah, humble.
Yeah.
we're doing a lot of small things.
Yeah.
Easy for people to step into when they want to, step back when they need to.
Is there a lot of volunteer work in?
We actually just started a volunteer program last year. We hadn't previous, because we run the gardens at Worthy Brewing and the observatory there. And we have, right now we have 3 staff members. In the past, we've had a little bit more, but we went through a slight reduction a couple years ago. And so actually people have been asking us about volunteering there for a couple years now. And so we decided to kind of launch one last year. It was like our pilot year.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty small. I mean, I think we had maybe like a dozen or so regular volunteers, and then people would be able to pop in, throughout the summer if it was something that interested them. So it's fairly new, but yeah, we do have some volunteer stuff.
And I saw something about education workshops or field trips.
Yeah, so we do various things at the brewery there. We run the landscape and the farm, as we call it, which is the small growing area where we produce food for the pub. And then we run the observatory. So we do regular workshops and classes around that type of subject matter: sustainable gardening, astronomy, dark skies. Various throughout the season. We kind of take a break for the gardening in the winter, and that's our little hibernation planning period. So we're there now. But yeah, once a month we usually have something going on. We participate in some collaborative events like free native plant giveaways. And then we also run Franklin's Corner Community Garden.
It's the Worthy Garden Club is?
Yeah, it's a City of Bend property, and we took over management, I think 3 years ago now. So that's like a little satellite campus for us.
Yeah.
And then the volunteer
pass
program.
by it like every single day. And
oh yeah.
I love seeing when it's just lush and beautiful.
I know. It's been a really fun project.
My kiddo was pointing out the certain plants that they were learning about in their classroom.
Oh really?
And so yeah, we got to.
Oh, that's cool. What grade is they in?
She's in 3rd grade this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does she go to Bear Creek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we've had we have some field trips. We've had Bear Creek come out to Franklin's Corner a couple times, and then we have schools who come to the brewery, and they do like a mix of, we usually split in a couple groups. One group goes to the observatory and does some solar viewing, and Grant talks to them about, just pretty basic concepts of astronomy, because they're usually little.
You don't want to overwhelm them.
Exactly. I mean, they mostly love getting up, climbing the little stairs to look up through the telescope.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the highlight always. But we'll do like a garden activity as well out in the farm. We've done, we'll do like scavenger hunts and obstacle courses and things that like keep them moving, but also, they're able to learn a little bit while they're there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Do they get to see the chickens while they're in there?
Chickens are also a highlight. If they're brave enough, we see if they want to feed them.
Yeah.
Which sometimes, usually they start out very excited, and then the chicken takes one peck on their hand. Scary, but the chickens are always a highlight as well.
What are the chickens' names?
We've got right now we have Pickles, Molly, and I can't remember the other one's name because we flip-flop between Megatron and another one, and someone from the pub really wanted the other one.
Alright.
And my coworker Jess takes care of the farm and the chickens, so she's kind of the on the ground chicken lady.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they there year round?
They are.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we see them in the summer, but I don't think I've seen them.
One year we rehomed them somewhere else because we just had two, and so we wanted them to be with like a bigger flock.
Yeah.
But now we've got three, so
Gotcha.
yeah, they huddle in together.
That's adorable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People always like when they're coming in out of the pub too. They're always over there.
Oh, it's one of our
saying
highlights.
hi. There's a woman in the pub who like loves to feed them, so they'll bring some scraps in the morning when
That's
they're prepping and
adorable.
give them to the chick. It's very exciting for them.
I love that.
Who doesn't love a chicken?
And then for the stuff in the garden, you're able to use in the Worthy Kitchen as well.
Yep.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about the eggs? Are you able to
Eggs
use
we
those?
don't. Eggs
Okay.
we kind of give away to staff members. We have a rotating,
Nice.
once we have a dozen, we'll share the love and different people can take them home. But
Awesome.
there's a lot more hoops to jump through to use them in the restaurant.
That's what I figured.
And they produce, we have 3 chickens. So
Right.
the amount that they would produce isn't worth going through that.
But you're able to use their waste in the compost that
Yep.
you guys do?
Exactly. Yeah. And
Okay.
they get morning field trips out of their coop. We'll take them around the garden. They help, scratch up different areas.
Help with the bugs.
Give them some sunshine time, some fresh air time. But we do have a lot of big predatory birds that fly
That
over,
makes sense.
so we got to be careful. And then, of course, the parking lot.
Do you
so.
get to use some of your compost waste from the restaurant for them, or does that go elsewhere? Do you guys utilize that?
Yeah, we get food scraps from the kitchen for the chickens, and then we take some of the kitchen's food scraps for our compost bin, and we're also composting the chicken manure.
Is this all on site?
It is, and it's
Okay.
pretty small scale. Like, we also, the pub participates in the food scrap program with Not Landfill.
Mhm.
And so they have bins where their food waste goes to the landfill to be turned into compost. But we siphon off like whatever we can. It's a
Yeah.
pretty small amount compared to what comes out of that kitchen.
I was going to say, those are going to be some hefty chickens
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're taking
Yeah.
all the food waste.
Yeah, so we siphon off what we can use, but we're pretty limited on site as far as like size
For sure.
of compost piles. And then, there's also rodent issues when you have any sort of restaurant.
That makes
so
sense.
we try not we try and be pretty clean.
No,
So we're not
definitely.
attracting rodents.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I wish we could do more. There used to be an empty lot across from us that the owner of the brewery also owned. And I kind of wish he'd kept it, and that could be like an expansion of our garden,
Right.
Yeah.
Are you able to use the Franklin plot for the restaurant as well, or is that just
Those are for the community gardeners.
Okay.
So whatever is produced there goes home with the community gardeners.
okay?
We have one plot that we have as a demonstration plot. And so we partner with Bend Urban Gardens to help run that. She actually lives in that neighborhood. Her name's Ashley. So we show up once a week, once every other week, do some maintenance on the demo garden. We have signage that we update. So our gardeners there, it's like a visual cue for them to know like what they should be doing in their plot. Because a lot of our gardeners are pretty new. Some are like the experienced ones probably don't pay too much attention, but it has been really helpful for the new gardeners. But the produce from that bed goes to HDFFA's Grow and Give program.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all kind of just things at the pub go to the pub.
Very
Easier
cool.
that way too
Yeah,
for washing and transport.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So how did you find yourself at Worthy? Like, what brought you to Bend? What brought you to Worthy? How'd you find your place?
So my background is horticulture. I actually grew up my summer job was working on a golf course, taking care of the flower beds.
Okay.
My dad was a superintendent, and so that was just my summer job. And then I went to school and got a bachelor's degree in English, graduated 2009. And I'm of the generation, like, you just did that. You just went to college,
For sure.
And then I graduated and I was like, well, I kind of just want to work with plants. So went back quick, got an associate's degree in horticulture.
Okay.
And then I moved out to Bend in 2013. And I got a job at the brewery just doing landscape maintenance. That's what it
Okay.
was at the time. And over the years, it's just evolved kind of naturally. The garden club was started in 2015. And so, started doing more education stuff along with the maintenance part. And then we've just kind of grown a little bit
Mhm.
year after year.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it kind of just like luckily fell into it.
And then you've been the executive director for, is it 2 years now?
Yeah, about 2 years now.
That's really awesome. How's
Yeah.
that changed your role in the property?
You know,
or
honestly,
Aberley?
we have such a small staff that not a ton.
Not a ton.
Because we all wear a lot of different hats.
For sure.
We do a lot of things. So I've always been pretty involved in like the planning and execution of events and such. But you know, there's a learning curve, of course, you know, because you go from being someone who's receiving direction to the one leading
Giving,
and
right.
deciding, you know, what we're going to do. We have a lot of freedom in what we can do because we have such a small staff, and we operate on a small scale, so we can be pretty nimble and kind of, it makes it easy to meet community needs because we can pivot pretty easily. And we have our winter time to really like sit down and intentionally plan how we want to operate the following year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a change, but it's cool. Like, you know, like I said, we have a small staff, so it's fairly easy, I think, relative to leading other nonprofits.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you guys are in hibernation mode in the winter, is that just like plot planning? You said you do some dark sky stuff. How else do you guys fill the time where you can't be
we also
productive
do
in the
snow
soil?
removal for the pub, so that's
Okay.
a fun distraction. Unfortunately, this year, you know,
It's a little
not
drier
a lot
this
to do.
year.
Yeah. But you know, we do some surveys of we don't have official members, but our audience to gauge like what they're interested in learning about, you know, how valuable they found the things that we'd done the previous year. So we're able to, you know, right now we're kind of just 1 to 2 year block of strategic planning. So we do that this time of year and really kind of hone in on, you know, what's going to make the biggest impact with the small amount of time relative that we have. Because, you know, once summer comes around, it's a lot of, honestly, landscape pulling weeds.
Yeah. Do you guys have a
taking
part
care of the
in
garden.
the farmers market that's been launched?
We do.
Over there? Yeah.
Yeah. We helped get some vendors on board for that. You know, we offer information at a table in the market, and then our farmer Jess is there every Sunday. She's just around, so like she's leading kind of informal farm tours.
Okay.
At times we do U-picks. So if we have extra produce that the pub isn't going to use, we'll mark those crops ready to pick, and yeah, people can walk through and, you know, come home with some fresh.
And you guys are doing the farmers market again this year?
As far as I know, we are, but it might not be all summer. I think they might shorten it by a couple months.
Because we really need something on the east side.
I know. That was the inspiration for starting it there.
They had it at Whole Foods, and it was great. And then I think COVID hit, and then we've been missing it. You guys brought it back. I was so excited.
Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah, we went a couple times last year. A couple of my friends went like every single week.
Nice.
But yeah, we definitely need something on the west side.
On the east side, yeah.
East side, sorry.
Yeah,
yes,
totally. I know.
Yeah, the west side's covered. They got Northwest Crossing.
Totally.
We can all make it downtown, but the east side, I think, we still need something over there.
Yeah, totally.
Can you tell me how you crafted the Worthy Garden Club mission? Like, why'd you pick those special points and why they're important to you guys?
Well, I can't take credit for the initial setting of the mission.
Yeah.
But
how do you live by it?
How do I live by it? You know, the two main points in there is the action in the community. Because we're so small, you know, there's only so much we can do.
For sure.
But we can feed people, like, you know, we've really kind of honed it in the last few years of like what is doable for people to take it. There's a lot happening
for sure
these days,
yes.
in general. And so, you know, if we can just be there to help feed people tidbits of information, that hopefully sparks their interest in changing parts of their life to help the whole community improve. And it's hard. I think it's hard these days to stay motivated because problems feel so big
Mm-hmm.
and so overwhelming. But, you know, when you do things on a smaller scale and you're having smaller conversations, you know, I find that more effective to spur people into action. Distilling information in ways that make sense to them, you know, if they're not like a plant nerd or an insect nerd, like being able to communicate that in a way that inspires them and makes them feel like it's doable.
Yeah.
Even if it's small, you know, it's their way they can create some positive change in the community. And community really is the other one. Like, we love all of we have, you know, our regular volunteers are just so amazing. And it's been really nice. I think COVID was hard for everyone in a lot of different ways, but it really made people realize, like, oh, like, getting to know my neighbors is great, and having people physically around me that I can rely on is really important and connect with socially. Like, when we were all stuck in our houses, it really made you realize like how much you miss that interaction. Even like myself as an introvert, I was like, the first 2 weeks I was like, this is great, I just stay in my house. And then you're like, wait, you know. So since then we've just seen a huge surge in people wanting to connect with each other. And Bend is such a town of transplants. You know, most of us come from other places and a lot of us are new. And so, you know, forming those connections in these neighborhoods that are forming, you know, that's pretty inspiring.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think seeing the change in community, being from Bend, I've always had a sense of
you're
community.
A Bend native.
I'm a Bend native.
Ooh.
So I've always had a certain sense of community here, but as the community grows and as I transition into a different kind of work climate, I just noticed something different. Like you're saying, COVID really kind of flipped a switch. And I don't know if it's just my mindset, but but I see it and I feel it. But I think like you're saying, those smaller connections in the community is really kind of what drives the change that's necessary. And like you said, the smaller scale, I feel like you can gauge those metrics. You know, you're actually feeding someone in front of you or giving them plants to feed themselves or something where you wouldn't see that on a larger scale. So I think that's kind of special.
It is special. I think, you know, when people become grounded and connected in the place that they exist, you know, that gives them a sense of ownership and responsibility to take care of it.
Yeah. How do you get people to dig into their soil? How do you get them involved with the pollinator pathway or in your guys' garden at Worthy?
Ooh, it's just like feeding those small bits of information. You know, you can tell when it really connects with someone and when it really lights that spark in them that this is something they're interested in. We really focus on like that ease of access, meeting people where they're at, because there are so many varying levels of knowledge about, you know, for example, native plant landscaping, different abilities. You know, being so small, we're able to kind of meet those uniquely and have conversations with people. I think our staff is great in their knowledge level and their ability to just, I mean, like everyone is so excited about the thing that, I mean, Grant as well in the observatory, like we just totally nerd out on it.
No, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, and I think that attracts people who are also like, oh, this is like really interesting and I want to dive deeper into it.
And I saw that you guys have a resources page on the Pollinator Pathway website. It's fantastic. Did you help build that?
I did.
Can you tell us some more about it?
The resource page or Pollinator Pathway?
Well, you can say much about both, but the resource page, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Central Oregon is a tough place to garden, as I'm sure many people have become aware of if you've even tiptoed into the realm.
Yes.
You know, our climate is just really tough. We've got really cold nights. We can get a frost any time of the year. Last year we got a hailstorm in like July.
A bad one.
A bad one. A lot of our community gardeners got kind of annihilated. But yeah, you know, it's very challenging. And when I moved here, when I was kind of looking around for even just a job, like gardening in Oregon, I feel like is very Western focused, west side of the Cascades. There were a lot of things I could find that gave information about gardening on the west side. And it was like everyone forgot about the east side.
Yes.
The OSU Extension Office is great. They've been coming out with a lot of Central Oregon specific resources as well. But, that was kind of our focus. Worthy Garden Club and Pollinator Pathway Bend is to start creating resources that are specific to Central Oregon, because Oregon is a land of many different microclimates, and ours is just one.
Right.
And since there wasn't a lot of information, there's a lot of new people moving here. It was like, well, why don't we just create the things that we were looking for that don't exist, and then we have that to pass along.
So it has the plant name. It has when you can plant it.
Oh yeah, our main piece de resistance for the pollinator pathway is that it's a native pollinator plant guide.
Yes.
And so we have, and our definition of native is a little loose. It is plants that are native to this area specifically, but also plants that maybe are native to similar climates in other regions of the country, like the Southwest or the high plains of Colorado. Mostly plants that are retail available. We have 2 native plant nurseries that are open to the public. And so we kind of pulled from their inventory and got the list of plants. I put a few different lists together that I had found from various resources, because often those lists were like 25 plants long, which is great. But if you're like a horticulturist, someone who's wanting to landscape your yard, you're like, I need more options, right?
Yeah.
And so the list is pretty extensive at this point. And it gives common name, scientific name, or growing requirements as far as what kind of sun it needs, what kind of watering it needs, when it blooms, what color the bloom is, and then your expected pollinator visitors. So. And
that's with the icons with the butterflies and the humming. That part really made me nerd out.
Oh yeah.
Seeing that, I was like, how'd you do that? That's really it
was just really compiling a bunch of different sources of information into something that is useful. And we have heard we have board members too who will take that list to the nursery and just be like, can I have this, this, and this? It's really useful for people to tactile, have it in front of them.
Yes, visual.
I am also
so
a
important.
very tactile visual person. I need that physical printout of it.
No, it's helpful. Yeah, just looking at it, I was like, my gosh, I didn't know any of this.
I know. There's so many plants in the high desert, a huge diversity of plants and pollinators. And I think that's a common misconception is oh, the desert,
sagebrush,
scrubby and nothing lives there, But we actually have a bigger diversity of native bees than the west side. I know that. And, our plants are they have to be tough. They have to survive a lot of different threats.
I remember hearing something in one of your other interviews that we're the first pollinator pathway west of the Mississippi.
Correct.
That's really impressive.
I know.
How many are there now, I guess?
There are a handful now. There's another one in Oregon specifically, out by, I think it's Milwaukee. There's a woman who started one out there. She actually came by a couple summers ago to our garden tour open house day, and I guess she had found us, and that kind of inspired her to start a chapter where she lived, which was pretty cool.
What's required to start a chapter?
They're pretty loose. You don't have to be an official 501c3 to be under. There's a national pollinator pathway.
Okay.
It was started in Connecticut, so it's very east side focused, not east side of the state, but east side of the country.
Right.
And so there were a lot of pollinator pathway chapters that started along the eastern seaboard there. And, eventually it's filtered their way out here. But when Basie first started, she, was able to kind of just be under that umbrella as far as we had this little page on their website, and we were able to connect when people register their pathway. We had our own little portal for it, which was a big thing.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So it's pretty loose. And a lot of the pathways have gone the 501c3 route because it's just easier. It's a little bit more work, but it's easier to find funding that way.
Right.
And really, it just makes you legit as far as people who donate to you.
Okay.
They want to see that.
And for the ones I see around town, people's individual gardens that have the pathway plaque, what are their requirements to get that?
So you sign a pollinator pledge. No one's coming to it's an honor system. No one's
sure.
coming in to like check up on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we encourage people to plant majority native plants. Like 70% native plants versus 30% non-native is like kind of your bare minimum where you want to start aiming, because that's able to better support our native pollinators. So we ask for people to plant native plants, for people to, I mean, ideally not use pesticides, but if you have to, you know, start with the lowest toxicity type of chemical, OMRI certified. And then what else? Oh, maintain pollinator-friendly gardening practices. And really what that means is just kind of leaving your garden to exist as it does in nature. So you're leaving the leaves, you're saving the stems, you're not cutting everything back around fall. I mean, that's what I was trained to do when I went to school for horticulture, is you like flatten that thing in the fall. You clean up, you rake your leaves.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of landscaping.
Yeah, it's a very common way to maintain. It's a way we've done it for a long time. But when you're doing that, you're removing all the creatures that are overwintering in your garden. So there's a lot of, you know, like ladybugs, moths, things that overwinter in the leaf litter or just in that first couple inches of soil. And the leaves help insulate the soil against temperature fluctuations. So they're better able to survive in there. And then there are some bees that are stem nesting bees. And so, you know, if you're chopping that down every year, you're basically removing all the little things that live in your garden. And we need
the
those.
Helpful things.
We need those to survive.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bad things are, they find it a little bit more easy to
It's not
exist.
just shelter for like the bugs, it's also nutrients for your soil underneath.
Right? Exactly. When those leaves decompose, you're naturally fertilizing the ground underneath. You know, people don't like messy. So we encourage people to like move in that direction. It doesn't have to be, you know, no one has to be perfect in the things that they're doing, but as long as you're changing it enough, you know, rake the leaves off your lawn, but maybe pile them in your garden, or pile them behind a shed if you have an HOA and they don't like messy, which is another challenge, honestly, that we run into a lot here is the HOA rules. And people are like required to have turf. And they're required to have certain plant palettes, and none of them are native. And most are like, they just need the education and they change. But, you know, it's just another hurdle for people to jump over.
Definitely.
Yeah, but instilling those types of practices in your garden really encourages the life to come back and that natural balance. So, you know, you need those good bugs, to eat the bad bugs. So if you're stripping that away every year, I mean, really just setting yourself up for failure. And it's not good for us. It's not good for the planet.
True.
Yeah.
How have you had to maybe chat with some HOAs to try to change their minds? Is that something a lot of people do in town? I mean, I know HOAs are very specific and
they
strict,
can be,
but
there's, you know, some are not as strict. And I'm not the one who personally has done that. We have a couple people on her board who are kind of like, they're the go-to for that. So I haven't done it personally, but from what I've heard reported back, like most of them are very amenable to it. They're like, oh, we didn't know that. Right. Okay. And they're able to like,
because we've been taught
change
so much
the rules. I mean, a lot of that turf. A lot of the things that we're doing in our gardens is just things that we've done. I mean, kind of like the 50s was when the original like lawns came about. Like that was just a sign that, you know, look at us. We've made it. We've got a lawn and our white picket fence and we clean everything up. But you know, over time we've realized like, oh, that's like a terrible way to manage our landscape and our environment. So it's just like, you know, people are doing things the way we've always done it. So we just need to provide the education that shows like, well, you know, this isn't a great way. This is a better way. Yeah. Do you want to come this way a little bit?
Well, I mean, a lot of the newer developments have a lot of xeriscape and native planting, which is exciting. Do you guys have any hands in that kind of distribution or anything like that?
Not a ton. No. We more work on like the homeowner or renter side, not so much with developers. But I know the city of Bend is doing some work on code to help those developments plan their landscapes in a way that's environmentally friendly and water conscious. You know,
Okay.
that's a big boon to our mission, is that that's just a big focus right now also with the city because of water issues,
For sure.
with drought. And so there's a huge focus with some of these bigger agencies like City of Bend Parks and Rec, that really help us because they're eager to make these changes.
Mhm.
And so we're able to easily work with them to kind of adopt different areas of parks and city property to make them, you know, put in native gardens and have some signage. So when
Yeah.
people walk by, they can see it, learn a little bit, and maybe take that home.
So the other park, is that Orchard Park that you
Yes.
guys have adopted?
Yeah, we have a hummingbird garden at Orchard Park,
Okay.
and that was a collab install and maintenance with Wild Birds Unlimited and the
Oh,
East
fun.
Cascade Bird Alliance,
Okay.
formerly Audubon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. And everyone's still getting used to not calling them Audubon.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they were really interested in getting a hummingbird garden somewhere, and we'd had a really small patch there, but area to expand. And so that was a natural fit for that project. So that went in last year. We did
Oh, it's
one planting in the
fresh.
spring and one planting in the fall. And it's all like growing in still.
Okay.
So it's kind of small, but yeah, Orchard Park is one. Al Moody, we have a little pocket garden. Hard to describe, but it's like across from Ensworth Elementary where 3 paths meet. So it's kind of in this triangle.
Just at the bottom of the butte, right? Over
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. And then Franklin's Corner is our other big garden,
Okay.
demonstration garden.
So you've got your hands kind of all over.
We do, you know, we're still kind of trying to figure out like what's the best use of our time and resources. And we love putting in gardens, but they also require maintenance to be successful. So, you know, we've got a few in and we're about at our limit of what we can maintain as a group ourselves. But if people have a spot in mind, I mean, it's great to work with like neighborhood associations. There's different little garden clubs like around town. There's an East Side Garden Club, working with, or people just in a neighborhood who want to adopt a space and can commit to helping maintain it. You know, we're happy to take on more projects in that way, but I think we might be maxed out at what we can personally maintain.
Yeah, you need more volunteers.
We always need more volunteers. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's always an issue with nonprofits, but
it is, and keeping people engaged. I mean, it's not the most fun work because often you're just like weeding or picking up trash. But I will say we are a fun group, and so it's just nice to like get together like regularly and just you know, you chat about whatever while you're doing it. It's like pretty easy work, but it's gratifying when you're done. Yeah, and you get a little chat session with your friends.
What other kind of I guess barriers do you run into with, like, I mean, you talked about water issues. What kind of like other sustainable or economic, community, political, what kind of issues kind of get in the way of what you do need to do?
You know, sustainable gardening is not like a top priority for people. So there's always that. You know, we're really passionate about it, but we also understand that like with just the times that we live in, you know, people have a lot of other things on their mind that are forefront, that are more important, like just food security, home security. So, you know, we're cognizant of that. So it's not always like gonna be an easy sell. And people don't often have the free time or the extra money it takes to like do some of these things at their home, redo their landscape. So we realize that, but we're trying to make it more easy to step into. We do like a free plant giveaway every year where we give away like 3 or 6 plants, and you know, you start there.
Just starter plant?
Yeah, just little like 4-inch pots.
Okay.
We've kind of done it differently over the years, but last year we were like gave away 6 to people.
Okay.
Heard back that might be a little too much, so we'll see what we do this year. But yeah, I mean, it is like, you know, like anything that you may be interested in, that doesn't mean that everyone else is super interested in. But we do have a pretty good core group that we're able to, even if some of those people, you know, come and go over the years, like if you keep that main core group and people are maintaining their excitement about it, you know, it's easy to keep that movement
reaching
going
out and growing and fluctuating.
Yeah, and also, I mean, honestly, just like the change in our climate is tough. It's hot, dry summers, smoky summers. So it's really hard to plan events later in the like July, August, September,
Right.
because people don't want to come out in smoky weather.
And that can be unpredictable.
It can, and it's just like, kind of harder to keep those plants alive.
Yeah.
We're really mild, dry winters, and that means maybe more pest problems the next year because you're not having that die off of bad bugs over the winter. They're able to live there under your leaf litter
Keep
along
bugging.
with your good bugs. Yeah.
You had mentioned OSU Extension earlier. What do you do with them?
OSU Extension is great. They have created a lot of really Central Oregon specific resources. So we help promote those, hand them out at some of our events. We did a Firewise class where the Garden Club did last year that Master Gardeners were able to count as their like continuing education credits.
Oh, okay.
And then I use Amy Jo is in running that Master Gardener program over at OSU Extension, and they run Holland's Head and Discovery Park community gardens.
Okay.
So when we took over Franklin's Corner, I got a lot of guidance from her on like how do you run, like what are some best practices for running that community garden, because it's kind of a whole different world than having your own that you maintain. It's you got to like be pretty flexible and know that people have lives outside of the garden and be pretty forgiving on like just requirements and such.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of guidance from her when we took that over. And then we're looking at doing some collab events this year, maybe some fruit tree pruning, and they do an open house at Holland's Head every year. And our gardeners last year requested having an open house for our garden at Franklin's Corner. So we're looking at doing that together too.
That'd be really cool.
I know. I mean, people are getting pretty interested in the community gardening.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be able to kind of show off that property and all the improvements we've been able to make.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to keep a
It's very
look out for
gratifying.
that. What do you think would be your favorite project out of everything you've done so far?
I really like making the handouts. I find that very satisfying because it's like, you're kind of creating a thing that you needed yourself and other people are using it. And then honestly, Franklin's Corner has been probably my favorite in the past few years because like when we took over that property, I mean, it was pretty neglected. It was a volunteer run garden. And so when COVID hit, they just kind of not a lot happened there for a couple of years. And I had been working out, there's a native plant garden there that we helped maintain through Pollinator Pathway Ben. And we would always look into the garden and like half the plots were not used. It was pretty weedy. And, so when we were approached with the opportunity to manage it, I jumped at it.
Yeah.
And it's like a cool part of town, like you said, you drive past it. So I know there's a lot of foot traffic and vehicle traffic. And so it was a great like satellite campus opportunity for us. Bend is funny that it's like west side, east side, and people don't leave. Not often. You're not often crossing that 3rd Street boundary.
Yes.
So it was a way for us, not that Franklin's Corner is on the west side, but we're far east side at Worthy Brewing. And so this is like Middletown.
Little Central.
Yeah, different group of people that you're able to work with. And seeing, we've been able to do a lot of improvements in the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And just like the maintenance of it. Like it looks really nice.
It was very lush last year.
The gardeners are just like so pumped about it because, it's a City of Bend property, but they just didn't really have the staffing to give it the time that it needed. And so when the gardeners feel like they're not really being invested in, they're not going to invest a lot into their plots. And so we've seen the change over the last 3 years of people just like, they're there really often. They enjoy coming. We have monthly work parties and they all most of them like to come and, we chat and we eat snacks and they're so grateful. And I mean, that's been the most fulfilling one because it was like pretty quick gratification, like 3 years. It went from like fairly neglected to like, oh, this is like a really cool thing that people come to see. And I don't know, it was just pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the gardeners are all very thankful and
see them out there with their cute little sun hats.
Oh yeah, they love to chat. Like it's just fun. It's a fun change to being over on the east side all the time.
Yeah. with the high school so close, are you able to get them over there with helping volunteering or
We haven't.
education?
No, we get more elementary school involvement.
Yeah.
Their curriculum currently aligns a lot with what we're doing out there. They actually have some curriculum on dark skies and pollinators. And
Okay.
so that gives us a lot more opportunities to work with elementary school kids. Not so much high school yet,
So we
but I
just
should
got to
look
get
into
your
it.
hands into the middle school and high school teachers and get them interested.
Yeah. Yeah, we also help if a school wants to put a pollinator garden in.
Okay.
We help with that. But yeah, for some reason that's mostly like elementary and middle.
Okay.
I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
Yeah. My kids are little too, so I'm not familiar with like the high school system yet.
Yeah. I mean, just being from Bend, I know the schools, but I don't know how they're involved. I mean, we didn't have any of this when I was in school. I love seeing the school gardens.
Yeah.
I got to help with the preschool one years and years ago. That was just so much fun. The kids
Yeah.
get to dig in the dirt, see things
Totally.
grow. We were able to use the stuff in the kitchen. And like, you guys grew the cilantro.
I know, it's fun. They
So-
just like to get dirty, but you're like,
Yeah.
you know, you're also teaching them about taking care of the land and being interested in all the little bugs.
Yeah,
you know.
bugs.
Kids love
kids.
bugs.
It's
Kids
true.
love bugs. I love that when we have field trips out, you know. The adults are never as jazzed when I talk about the bugs as the kids are or show them bugs.
I feel like you definitely get one or the other where they're gonna love the bugs or just
Be
run
terrified
away.
of them? Yeah.
Yep.
We get a couple of those, but not too many.
How has your role changed you? How you live, how you consume, how you, I guess, be active in the community.
Exist in the world.
Yeah.
Good question. I think, you know, I used to be a really shy person, like really shy. I am still
Mhm.
in certain respects, but getting to be involved in the community, learning more things, and being that person that people come to ask their plant questions.
Yeah.
Over time, that gives you confidence. And now stepping into a leadership role, you know, I'm able to kind of like feel more like, oh, look at me, I'm doing it, you know? So I've gotten definitely more open and confident over the years, and just more excited to connect with people. I am pretty introverted, but I do like to, when you meet those people that you really vibe with, and you're able to either teach them things, ignite that spark in them to get excited about what you like. Really fun. And also just making friends. Like, I meet a lot of different types of people through both Worthy Garden Club and Pollinator Pathway.
Sure,
like
yeah.
young people, old people, people of different abilities, people who are curious, people who are like really closed off. And so that gives you some skills in like navigating, being able to gauge like where people are at and how you can meet them for what they need. And not just, you know, with gardening subject, but also just, you know, other things in life. Like you can transform that to other parts of your life. And, you know, some of the people that I most enjoy spending time now with is like my 50-year-old Pollinator Pathway friends. And you're just like, I don't know. It just really opens up a whole different world to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, feeling valued, that people are thankful for the work that you do, and rely on you for things. It's, you know, it's all part of that community. And, you know, having kids in the last few years, like that's a different part of your life too. And like now we live in this neighborhood and we're friends with our neighbors, and it's just like, I don't know, it feels so cozy, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to kind of learn that through my job and through my personal life.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Well, that was perfect place to kind of stop with my questions. Did you have anything else that you felt needed to be added to the conversation, or?
Well, if you're looking to volunteer, we're always taking volunteers, especially for Pollinator Pathway, because we do have gardens to maintain.
Yeah.
We're happy to take in either respects and whatever you can contribute. We have some people who just help us post events to community calendars. We have other people who like to table at events. We have our volunteers at Worthy who come help us plant plants and weed and harvest food out of the farm, help run field trips. Like there's a lot of different opportunities, and it can be as easy and as in-depth as you want. So
Okay.
yeah, if people are interested, they can check out either of our websites,
Okay.
which is just worthygardenclub.org and then pollinatorpathwaybend.org.
Okay. I will be doing that.
Yeah, thanks. We're happy to take anyone on board.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.